Hello and welcome back to my FPL channel. I am FPL D Unit and you are here for the final video for any game week this season. There will be a review of the season out sometime next week, but this is your final video for game week 38 for season 2024-2025. It's the third edition of the late mail and I think it's a cracker. So hopefully you are on board as well. I'll be online tomorrow with a deadline stream at 12:30 UK time, and then I'll have a live watch along with some very special guests. We are hoping to get Tom back onto the channel in his loosest form, so keep an eye out for that. I'll be scheduling those events very, very soon. Without further ado, this is your last chance to help me out. Smash a like on the video. Subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. About 50% of you still haven't subscribed, so please think about doing that in preparation for next season. And with all that being said, let's go one final time. Player comparison. Now, I wanted to bring this up because sometimes we overlook things, and last week I was very hot on Beto, and I never looked at Ndai. And last week, if you look at the stats, Beto had an XGI of 1.15 and came away with 2 points, 4.9 million. He was definitely the most popular option. No one really was talking about Ndai, who had an XGI of 1.12, scored 2 goals, and came away with 13 points. Like, it's just amazing. So this week, if you are tossing up between two players, what I would encourage you to do is potentially think about ones that are not in the box. Ones that people aren't talking about, that you haven't seen in videos this week, because that could be the difference between getting 13 points or getting 2. Just saying, it's something to keep in mind. There are plenty of players out there that are going to haul this week that no one's talking about. And if you're having a bit of fun on the final day like I am with free hit, maybe that's what you need to be doing. So the fixtures to target really quickly for the final time. Bournemouth versus Leicester. It does look good on paper. Realistically, how many goals are they going to score? I'm not sure, but I would expect that Kirkes and Hoytson probably going to be 2 really good defenders to own there. Manchester United versus Aston Villa. We haven't heard from Ruben Amorim yet. He did not have his press conference yesterday. However, the state of that club, and they're my club, it just feels bad. Ipswich versus West Ham. I think there'll be goals galore in this game. I wouldn't really be chasing defenders per se or starting them, but historically, Ipswich have actually conceded goals from the left back, which is where Wan-Bissaka's been playing. They've also conceded goals from the right wing, which is where Jarrod Bowen plays. So maybe keep that in mind. Southampton versus Arsenal, ditto. They concede a lot of goals down the right-hand side. So Saka, if he starts, is a really good option. They also concede, obviously, a lot of goals in general from the striker position. So again, that could be something that you want to look at as well. Tottenham versus Brighton, I just think is going to be a goal fest. I honestly think it's going to be a goal fest. Spurs actually concede a lot of goals down their left-hand side, so Matoma looks really good. And Brighton concede a lot of goals down the right-hand side. So therefore, if Brendan Johnson starts, he also looks like an amazing option. And then obviously the teams fighting for Europe, Man City, Forest, Chelsea, Aston Villa, Newcastle. And then Brentford, Brighton are fighting it out for that 8th spot and could be really good shouts. Now, Isaac apparently has put himself in contention to play, so he could be a really good differential because lots of people, he's the most sold player this week by a country mile. Also, Connor Bradley may not start. Trent could potentially start. Slot was very vague on that, on what was going. But he basically said that Trent should be able to enjoy it like everyone else. So does that mean he starts? If he does, he could be a really good punt. But in reality, I just want to put it out. I'm just trolling at this point. So the last 5 weeks, Jarrod Bowen is the hottest man in FPL. 44 points, 4 goals, 2 assists, 6 bonus points, an XGI of 1.21 for all of the above. And he's an XA of 0.99 for all of the above. So massively outperforming what he's been delivering. West Ham, he's just so talismanic. Over 50% of West Ham's goals have Jarrod Bowen involvement. It's unbelievable how consistent this man is. Over 20 goals and assists this season combined. He's just in such incredible form. And the first time round he played Ipswich, obviously got 1 goal and 1 assist, and that was his highest score of the season with 12 points. So, look, lots of things to get excited about. There's a reason why he is the most transferred in player this week, and it's pretty easy to understand why. But the game week 38 punt, I think this week, if you've got triple captain, and he starts, I will be very tempted to play it on one Bukayo Saka. Now, what are the odds of this? He's scored once and he's assisted nothing since game week 30 when he came back from injury. So you're really doing this on an ad hoc limb play. Like you're just going out on a limb and hoping that it comes in. Honestly, it's just a real risk. Southampton obviously concede a lot of goals, as I said, down their right-hand side, which means that Saka should be really good value here. If he starts, even plays 70 minutes, he probably will return quite significantly. Now, the first time around he played Southampton, he obviously scored 1 goal and got himself 2 assists and got 16 points. We have seen his capacity go big. He obviously got the 1 goal and 3 assists against West Ham for that massive 18 points as well. Like, Saka can destroy teams. If he is on and he starts, I think he's a really good triple captaincy shout. There's a bit of a differential, a bit of a Hail Mary play. I don't mind it. He had an XGI the last time round versus Southampton as well of 1.24. And he's going in an XG of 0.36 per 90 for the season, an XA of 0.39 per 90 for the season. He's obviously got 6 goals, 11 assists. Yeah, I just think that if I was punting this week on a triple captain, I'd probably be inclined to play it on Saka. If we get official confirmation, hopefully with some leaks before the deadline, that he's starting, I just think that he could absolutely explode on the final day of the season. So the assistant manager for game week 38, and these are the 4 best options I personally believe. So Pereira comes in at number 1. He's obviously versing Brentford, who it is at home, which is why I like the 3 table bonus managers this week. They're all at home this week. I just think that, maybe Brentford might realise that the ghost is done and they might not be able to finish 8 because Brighton realistically are in a better position than them. Like Brentford have to win and Brighton pretty much have to lose. It's going to be difficult for them. So for that reason, maybe Pereira, Cunha's final home game for Wolves. There's so many things that could add up here that get me excited about it. Ange, off the back of winning Europa League, playing the most negative football I've ever seen in my life. He literally parked a Jose Mourinho bus at the Bilbao Stadium and relied on a shot that was the most pathetic shot I've ever seen. But Brendan Johnson could absolutely pop off here. Like, the pressure's going to be off. They've won the title. They're probably going to be up and about. I think there's going to be goals galore in this game. If Ange could somehow go back to Ange ball for 1 game and just absolutely take it to Brighton, there could be some massive points on offer here. Amarin will want to be saving face. Man United will want to save face. They want to give the fans some hope. I want to see some hope. I want to see some goals, man. Like, honestly, I just need something. For that reason, the game for Aston Villa could be quite dangerous. Or it could be absolutely easy. I really don't know. It just depends on how United respond after the setback, or after the very disappointing fact that we lost the final to Spurs. If there's ever a reason to show up and show some pride, it's that reason alone. Eddie Howe's a safe bet, I think. I think Newcastle will destroy Everton at home on the final day. They will get Champions League football. And I think of all the managers, he is definitely the safest one that hasn't got table bonus. That's my personal opinion. Other people might say Slot. Other people might say Pep. Other people might say Nuno or Maresca. For me, it's Eddie Howe this week by a country mile. So the best cheap Arsenal midfielder to buy in game week 38. And look, I have been looking at this myself because realistically, I'm going to have one of them in my attack if I don't go with Saka. If I think one of these guys are more often, and look, let's compare the stats. So Marino, obviously, since they had the injuries of Kai Havertz, and Kai Havertz could be back in this game. He could even start. We really need some leaks in this game. 6 million, 90 points, an XG of 0.33 per 90, an XA of 0.07 per 90. He scored 7 goals and 2 assists. He's only got 8 bonus points. So his ceiling isn't overly massive, Marino. I feel like if you were backing in on Marino, you're probably really backing him only to score the 1 goal, probably get no bonus or like 1 or 2. He's not going to get that mega haul. Now, if we have a look at Martinelli, 6.5 million, costs a little bit more, 123 points for the season. He's got an XG that's lower than Marino's of 0.26 per 90, but he's got an XA of per 90 of 0.17, so significantly higher there. 6 goals, 8 assists. Again, his bonus points aren't very good. 6 bonus points, like for the season. So you're not getting the mega hauls out of these guys, really. But then when you look at Trossard, 6.7 million, the most expensive of the 3, 148 points, an XG that's lower than both of them, though, of 0.24 per 90, an XA of 0.15 per 90, 8 goals, 7 assists. but he's got 18 bonus points. And the other thing I'll say about Trossard, I went back and looked at the stats from the other games this season against Southampton, against Ipswich, against Leicester. He blanked, I think, against Southampton the first time round, but in all the other games, like against the promoted teams, he's had one game where he's got like an assist or a goal, and the other game he's had 2 attacking returns. So for that reason, I think that Trossard has the highest ceiling. If he starts and we get confirmation he starts, I think Trossard is the pick for me. He definitely has the highest ceiling out of these three. Even if you compare him to Declan Rice as well, Trossard has that higher ceiling. And that's what you're chasing on the final day. If you're after a punt, if you're after some fun, Trossard, I think, is the one that I like the most. So the game week 38 defenders to buy. And on free hit, I'm almost 100%. This will be my starting 3 defenders. And I'm going to talk you through why. So we've got news that Saliba and Timber are out. They're just out of the lineup, right? They're not playing. They've confirmed out by Arteta in the press conference yesterday. Ben White then is almost automatically, I would think, a lock to start. Now, if he plays at right back like we saw last week against Newcastle, he did get forward. He looked threatening. And look, he generally has been involved with clean sheets this season as well. He has played nowhere near the amount of games as the rest of the defence, but he's still managed to rack up 5 clean sheets. His XGI of 0.09 is nothing to write home about. And he's only got 1 assist for the season. But Raya will want to keep the clean sheet. And I think a double up on the Arsenal defence of White and Raya makes a lot of sense for me on free hit. And it's probably where I'm going to end up on. I just really like him. I think he's going to be great. Then we look at the Newcastle defence. Now, I expect with Braithwaite out, with Tarkowski out, I expect Everton to concede goals. I honestly expect them to concede goals. For that reason, I just really like Shah. With 4 goals and 2 assists for the season, he's got 11 clean sheets as well. He's got an XGI of 0.14. If there is a punt on a Newcastle defender that is likely to score a goal, it's Fabian Schär this week. So for that reason, 3.5 points per average per game. It doesn't really matter the average points per game because it's just the fixture play this week. And for that reason, I really love Shah. I think he's actually my favourite defender probably to have this week. And yeah, 4 bonus points. Hopefully he can make it 7. Hopefully he can get a 15-pointer. That would be unbelievably good. Then we've got Kirkez. Kirkez has 10 bonus points to the season. He's got very good underlying bonus points. He just seems to rack them up, really. He's got 8 clean sheets. He's also got 2 goals and 6 assists. There's multiple routes to points here for Kirkez against a Leicester team that you would think would offer not much threat going forward without Jamie Vardy. Again, an XGI of 0.09 matching what Ben White's got. But I just love the fixture. And I think, realistically, this is like the template draft for free hit 34. I think this is a template draft if you're on free hit 38 in terms of defenders. I can't see any other defender really outscoring them. Unless, obviously, that could well happen, right? But on paper, I think these 3 are the 3 standout defenders to own this particular game week. So, player comparison for the season in terms of forwards. Now, lots of people sitting there wondering which forwards to play. And I actually think that these 3 forwards just need a little bit of look. Now, I looked at Evanilson and I've looked at him in terms of the captaincy decision this week. But Evanilson has 1 double-figure haul for the season. Like 1 double-figure haul for the season. I thought it was more than that. But it's not. It's not. And these 3 forwards are probably the 3 forwards, realistically, with the form behind them, the most dangerous. And like Isaac, you would argue, maybe hasn't quite got the form, but he has been chugging away regardless. And the fact that they've all got something to fight for this week, which makes them all dangerous. Like, Evanilson has nothing to fight for, right? Like, Bournemouth could win that game. They may not win that game. There's a lot of things to go into it. Wisser has come from nowhere over the last few weeks. He's definitely the player that is most in form. I think if there was a forward that I was buying this week that I didn't own, it would be Wisser. Almost 100%. 6.9 million, 184 points. He's the exact amount of points as Ollie Watkins. And he's only 25 points away from Isaac. And the dude is not on penalties. He's not taken 1 penalty for his 18 goals this season. It's unbelievable. So when you compare him, he scored 2 more goals than Ollie Watkins. He scored 5 less than Isaac. But Isaac's obviously had those penalties. There's just so much to love here. Obviously, Isaac has the most average points per game, which makes him a really good shout. And honestly, he is a really good shout this week. If we get confirmation he's starting before the game, hopefully with some leaks. just, 36 bonus points for Isaac as well. They're all become bonus points machines. Like, Whistle was miles off, but like the last 5 weeks, he's been racking up the bonus for fun. Like, a Mbeumo's kind of dropped off and has been Wissa being the talisman. Yeah, there's so much. Like, obviously the XGI, when you look at it, 0.65 per 90 for Wissa, 0.61 for Watkins, 0.8 for Isaac. Like, Isaac's massively miles in front. They're all really good. Maybe this is actually the front three that we should all be looking at for this game week. Like, forget the Evanilsons, forget the Welbecks, forget the Haalands. I need to think about forgetting the Haaland. And like, I know that not many of them are differentials, etc., but maybe this is actually the option I should be going for. So yeah, let me know what you think. Are you taking the Evanilson punt? Are you taking a Welbeck punt? Or maybe you're just thinking, hold on, maybe I just need to go with the data and go with the players potentially that have got something to fight for this week. Let me know in the comments. I just wanted to put it out there. I think all three of these, 3 top options this particular game week. So who's the better buy this week? Having said that, and I've just covered the forwards end, we're going to look at Evanilson now, right? So he's obviously got the Leicester home fixture, and in the reverse fixture, I think Evanilson's played 80 minutes and racked up a ridiculously low XG of 0.28. XGI, sorry, of 0.28 the first time around he played Leicester. In comparison, Jarrod Bowen, the last time he played Ipswich, racked up an XGI of 1.33 for the game. So again, there's quite a big difference there. Now, Jarrod Bowen's got 180 points, will cost you 7.9 million for the season. Evanilson, at the time of recording, I'm not sure if he's going to have risen in price. So I've factored in that he has risen in price. When I'm making this video, he costs 5.8 million. By the time this video gets uploaded, he may well cost 5.9. So I've whacked 5.9 in there, expecting him to rise. He's expected to rise, so there we go. He's only scored 126 points for the season. Now, when you look at the goals and the underlying stats, Evanilson scored 10 goals for the season. Jarrod Bowen's more than matched him. He's got 12. Then you look at the assists. Evanilson's got 5 assists for the season. 3 of them were for 3 penalties won in the one game back in, I can't remember which game week it was, and that Clivett scored them all. Jarrod Bowen's got 10 assists, doubled him. When you look at his XG per 90, it's 0.49 per 90 for Evanilson, 0.26 for Bowen. XA per 90 for Evanilson, 0.07 for Bowen at 0.2. I think it's a bit of a no-brainer. Who is the better buy this week? I think it's Jarrod Bowen all day long. But yeah, again, it just depends what your team looks like, I suppose. If you're really chasing a forward differential, Evanilson's got to be a forward differential by the time the deadline rolls around. Jarrod Bowen's definitely going to be a differential either. The sheep are on board. Maybe the smartest move is actually to ignore them both and go for a lower-owned player and hope that they both blank. I mean, it's quite possible, right? It's definitely quite possible. So on to the captaincy choice for game week 38. And these are the options. So we'll start with Haaland versus Fulham away. Hasn't scored in the last 3 games now. And I don't think he's actually gone 4 games in a row for Man City without scoring. I tried to look up the stats. I haven't seen it this season where he's gone more than 3 games that he's actually played. Obviously, he's gone more than 3 games without scoring a goal because he's obviously missed a lot of games through injury. But yeah, XGI the first time round was 0.34 versus Fulham. Got 0 goals, 0 assists, and he got 2 points. So there's not a lot of faith to go in there based on the fact that he's done nothing the last 3 weeks and he got no points really, and he blanked against Fulham the first time round when they were at home. Fulham arguably, though, have nothing to play for. Man City have everything to play for, so you do have to take that into account. Now, if we look at Salah versus Crystal Palace at home, the reverse fixture was the first blank of the season, I think. No, the second blank of the season outside of Nottingham Forest. He only had an XGI of 0.23 versus Crystal Palace. Only scored 3 points. Obviously got the clean sheet point, but no goals, no assists. Again, final day fun. The man has not been in form. Are you just backing in the fact that they're going to have a title party, that Salah's going to get involved, that he's chasing his records? Is that enough to give him the captaincy? Then we've got Brian Mbeumo versus Wolves away. First time round, he scored 1 goal, 0 assists of an XGI of 1.13 for 8 points. So when you compare the 3 of them the first time round, obviously that, again, the fixture is away, makes it slightly more difficult. But yeah, I mean, like those 3 options, they're the first 3. Again, nothing really inspires too much confidence from any of them, really. So, captaincy choice game week 38 here. Bowen versus Ipswich. 1 goal, 1 assist the first time around. XGI of 1.33, ended up with 12 points. A very, very good candidate, you would have to say. Evanilson versus Leicester at home. The reverse fixture. XGI of 0.28. 0 goals, 0 assists. 2 points. Saka versus Southampton away. Reverse fixture. 1 goal, 2 assists. XGI of 1.24. 16 points. Now, if that doesn't make you think that you want to take a punt on Saka if he starts, I don't know what will. Like the reverse fixture around, what kind of team is Southampton? What kind of performance are they really going to put out in the final day of the season? I mean, you could argue the same about Arsenal. What kind of performance are they really going to put out in the final day of the season? I'm not sure is the honest answer. But the captaincy decision this week is really wide open. You could make a case for all these 6 options. You could probably make a case for a bunch of other people as well. Let me know in the comments who you are considering for captaincy this week. But there's definitely some good shouts there, 100%. So my team currently versus the free hit most likely draft that I am looking at. So Ray is almost a guaranteed in. In fact, I actually tell you, I've made some transfers overnight. So Ariola's now in my team for Verbruggen. Kirk is obviously in my team. White is now in my team for Milinkovic. I haven't bought Shah in yet because I'm hoping for Dan Burn to rise in price overnight, which he may have done. He was scheduled to potentially rise. So if he does, I'll then get an extra 0.1 on him because I bought him at 4.4, which means he would go up to 4.6, and then I'd move him to Shah. In the midfield, I haven't actually made any moves there yet. So I'm still not sure what I'm going to do there. And I've actually bought in Evanilson for Watkins at the moment, just because of the fact that Evanilson was rising in price. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'd say I'm 80% heading towards that draft on the right, which is exactly the exact amount of money and using up the entire amount of my squad value, which I think the draft would cost me about £108.3 million. So yeah, let me know in the comments, is there someone I'm missing out? Obviously, at the moment, I'm looking at starting Raya, Kirkes, White, Shah in that lineup. Probably starting Diaz, Barnes, Saka, Salah, and Bowen. And realistically, I'm probably benching Evanilson and I'm starting Wisser and Haaland. Now, I could definitely move Haaland to Isaac. That's definitely another possibility as well. But that's generally where I'm thinking at the moment. I want to have some differential chances. I want to have the chance of trying to move up as high as I can inside the top 10K. Realistically, 37 points, making the top 1K, probably not going to happen. But that's what I'm thinking ahead of the deadline. Let me know what you're thinking ahead of the deadline in the comments. So that brings us to the end of the final video for Game Week 38, ahead of the deadline, ahead of the review of my entire season next week. I wish you good luck. For anyone that has joined me this season, the fact I've managed to make it to over 1,700 subscribers across the course of this journey, I can only be very much thankful, appreciative, and I feel quite blessed. And I hope that you all come back next season. And for anyone that hasn't subscribed, if you could please do so ahead of the next season, that would be amazing. I look forward to coming back bigger and better, and I'll see you all on the deadline stream. Good luck. Hopefully you get a green arrow to finish the season. I have been FPL D Unit, and good luck in Game Week 38.